Now, as a company director, you need to be completely prepared as to what is going to unfold in 2024. And in this particular video, I want to share with you the 5 game-changing trends that directors must embrace in 2024. And this is from experience. I've helped many organizations and many different companies scale up and grow, and I've helped their boards as well become effective. So what I want to do is I want to just start by, first of all, the challenges out there, because what I've observed and what I see every now and again is that there's this common concern that, there's uncertainty, rising cost with the geopolitical tension that we have, and culture issues as well, talent retention, and there are very many components which is raising a lot of concern for boards of directors. So what I want to now do is shift gears and start with these particular trends. The first trend, and what you really need to do as a company director, is AI and digitization literacy. So I'm not talking only about learning and development. That's too generic. I want you to specifically focus into AI and digitization literacy. Now, what do I really mean by AI and digitization literacy? Let me break it down. So when it comes to AI, what you really need to do is you as a director need to have a strategic AI roadmap. It has to be clear. And by the way, it doesn't matter whether you're a small, medium or large organization. That doesn't really matter. This will work for you. What you need to do is make sure you have the strategic roadmap in place, the AI strategic roadmap in place, where you have the resource allocation, what you really need to do, what are those costs that you are going to transform. Everything should be clearly articulated. That is the first thing that you really need to do. Now, secondly, which is very important, is you have to look at the ethical consideration as well as the security element, cybersecurity. Because what's happening is, with the challenges many organizations are facing, and we know with AI, there are those scammers who are taking opportunity. I just read an article the other day that there was this institution where a finance worker sent $25.6 million. He remitted $25.6 million just because he attended a video call, but that video call had everybody who were deep fakes. He thought that the CFO and the other executives were there, but actually they were all fake. So what I'm trying to tell you is that you have to be very conscious, and you need to have those parameters set. You need to have those policies in place as well, making sure that, when it comes to AI, you have all the safeguards in place. And when it comes to digitization, you need to have that insight as far as data is concerned, algorithms is concerned, and potential biases. So you need to make sure that you are completely aligned when it comes to digitization, because digitization is going to give you that core element of making effective decisions as we move forward. Let's go to the second trend, and the second trend is sustainability. So when it comes to ESG, environmental, social, and governance, and when we are talking about environmental, you need to make sure that your firm, wherever you are based, is environmental friendly, eco-friendly. So you need to make sure that you've got, when it comes to climate change, when it comes to waste reduction, when it comes to pollution, all these elements are of core concern, as we know what's happening globally with the global challenges we are facing as far as climate is concerned. So you need to take that into consideration. When it comes to the social element, you need to make sure that that interaction with all the stakeholders. So it's more to do with social impact and social intelligence, and the interaction with your stakeholders is very important. And that would include having the diversity in place, and also your suppliers, making sure that human rights, labor laws, diversity, all those elements are fully taken into consideration. And that's the responsibility. As a director, you need to make sure that you have all that in place, and you've got the right oversight mechanisms, of course. And when it comes to governance, we are looking at the internal policies that you have, the oversight mechanisms, the board composition. Very important to have the right people in your company. And by the way, whether you're a small or mid-sized organization, have a loosely defined board. Your executives can be the board itself, but make sure that you have that some sort of governance structure in place. That is very important. Compensation counts, transparency counts, ethics, all these elements are of core importance. The third trend I want to share with you is hyper-personalization. So when we are looking at hyper-personalization, and I also add customer centricity, but hyper-personalization is very important. And in 2024, the ones your clients' behaviors and your clients' actions must be aligned with what you are offering. And let me give you an example. In Japan, there is this one particular company, it's a clothing company. And what happens is, if you enter that particular store, they will scan you, and within a couple of days, you will get the clothing that you want. So if you want an outfit, or if you want a suit, or whatever it is that you want, you will get that custom made as per your requirement. That is changing the face of how businesses are being done. It's more about personalized services and customer centricity. Make sure that at the heart of all your decisions, you put customers first, and you need to really collaborate. You need to have that interaction, making sure that you understand what are the changing behaviors, what are the customers really wanting, and have that pattern of understanding, detecting patterns. And like I mentioned about digitization, which makes it easier. So that is another core component. The fourth one, which I want to share with you, is co-creation. Now, what do I really mean by co-creation? I want you to think of co-creation from a different level altogether. What I've discussed so far, it's all about innovation. But in 2024, you need to work on design. You need to work on certain imaginations as well, and making sure that you get a different outcome altogether. So how do you do that? It's through disruptive thinking. So before, we've been talking about innovation in most of these other points that I've shared with you. Now you need to be creative as well. And creativity comes when there is disruptive thinking. Think about Netflix, for example. And, prior, a couple of decades ago, we had those VHS cassettes, video cassettes. And then Netflix came in and it became a streaming service. So that is disruption in itself. Think about Apple. Apple, when Steve Jobs was there, he came up with the concept of 1,000 songs in your pocket. And prior to that, we had those small CD players and those cassette players out there. So that disrupts everything. So what you need to do is, by co-creating, you need to co-create with your stakeholders. That includes your customers. You need to even co-create within as well, but with some disruptive thinking. So you would say that, wouldn't that require resources? You will need resources, so you need to have a contingency in place as well. So make sure you have the right contingencies so that you allow for certain risks to take place. Because one particular turning point from one creative idea which works can be game-changing for your particular business. So work on that particular element. The fifth trend I want to share with you is strategy, leadership, and culture. Now, why is this important? And yet we've been talking about leadership, strategy, and culture all this time. It's because very many companies are still behind, and mental health is playing a core role in everything. Mental health, clarity, accountability, still those are the key components which are really misaligned. And we've heard about the Great Resignation and what's happening out there. So what you really need to make sure is that you have your specific point of destination. I always talk about this, that you need to have your blueprint. Have your goals and objectives on one particular page where everybody, that collective intention is in place. You want to achieve milestones, and it doesn't matter whether you employ 10,000 employees or 50,000 employees, you want to achieve those milestones, you need to make sure that you have that blueprint in place. So it's very important to have the blueprint. You can have your drill down insights, from that particular blueprint. But that blueprint alone, my dear friends, can be completely game changing. And I see many organizations missing out on this particular blueprint. So have that in place and make sure that you have the right oversight mechanisms in place at that particular macro level, 10 to 50,000 feet macro level element. And all these particular trends which I've discussed with you, if you take a few of the points which I've shared with you, see if you can apply in your particular business and see how that can really differentiate you and help you to stand apart. Now, one more point is that I have a training program on become a high-performing director in 90 days. So if you would like more details, if you would like to learn more, I'll put the link below so you can watch another video which talks more about this particular program. But look, I hope you found some value from this particular video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video where I'll be sharing with you some insight-driven tips that will help you to scale up your business and become a high-performing leader and director. Thank you very much.